Okay, so discovering your voice, finding your voice. Do you have a voice? Hello? Well, we all do. And sometimes we feel like we've discovered or found it, and sometimes we don't. This month we're continuing with our Global Heart Vision, awakening humanity to our spiritual magnificence, creating a world that works for everyone. So I'll ask you, what is your ministry? Each one of us is a minister of something in our life. And when I first heard this, I was like, I'm no minister. I'm not a minister or anything. And then I realized that what the meaning behind it is that whatever we're doing, if we do it as a ministry, whatever it is that you do, are you the minister of fill in the blank? And you treat it like a ministry, it takes a whole different energy on. We believe in the incarnation of Spirit in everyone, and that all people are incarnations of the one Spirit. One infinite reality, the thing itself, God's Spirit, is universal life. It is the life from which all creation springs. This universal life moves at the level of the macrocosm, the big. The generic life from the atom to the trees, to the stars, to the galaxies. Evolution has been the trajectory of this universal life, seeking more and more awareness of self-consciousness. This life is individualized in all beings and becomes self-aware of its individualization in the human being. The highest God and the innermost God are one God. So we take very seriously the idea that we are made in the image and likeness of God, and thus we partake of the divine nature. As Jesus stated, when you see me, you see the Father. When you look at any person, you see the divine made manifest. It's been said that God created man, humans, from its own image and likeness. And we returned the favor by creating our God in our image and likeness as a man. You know, we think it's a guy on a cloud with a lightning bolt and a clipboard, like Santa Claus. Oh, have you been good? Well, God is not a man. God is all men and women and children and animals and everything that is, because there's not a spot where God is not. God being everything that is, God is genderless. God is colorless. God is everything, everyone, all the time. It never takes a time out. It never switches off. It is always expressing. So discovering your voice, what is your ministry? What is your voice? You know, there comes a point in a musician's experience of learning to be a musician. Whatever it is, being a vocalist is a discovering of your voice. When you go from singing in a choir to realizing that you have a soloist voice where you can do something with your instrument called your vocal cords that other people may not have the ability to do. And you discover this thing called your voice. Sometimes it's a speaker will be able to have a tone in their voice or be able to pronounce certain things. But all of us have a voice, and it's what we're doing in life. That is the voice you use. So this is from the textbook, and this is page 342, I believe, point 1. Mind is individualized, but never individual. The mind, which is universal, will never be any less than universal. It will be individual, but it will never be individualized. There is a great difference. Remember how we talked about the drop of the ocean? This says, the wave in the ocean will never be a wave by itself. It will be the ocean as a wave. You are a wave as the ocean. You're not separated, but you're seeing yourself as a wave right now in your particular spacesuit called your body. That is all it will be, caught up as a wave, but still the ocean. Perhaps this is the concept Jesus had when he said that God delivered everything to him, but he could do nothing of himself except God as him that doeth the work. It's not me. I am a conduit through which the ocean expresses. I am a wave, as you are, as everything is, as an individual droplet of that mist of the ocean. Isn't that cool? Doesn't that, it gives you that feeling like, hey, I am a wave, and I'm expressing in my own wavy, I'm going backward. I'm a backward wave. I'm a sideways wave. I'm a misty wave. What kind of wave are you? And you get to individualize it. You get to decide what kind of a wave you are. You live because life lives you. You move because there is a universal energy flowing through you. You think because there's an infinite intelligence thinking through you. You exist because the divine spirit has sought to individualize itself in and as you. This is why you are called the temple of the living God. There is a divine spark at the center of you, and it is your being. But you need to recognize this, believe it, and act upon your belief. That's when you become in alignment as spiritual truth, living in that way. The energy is only ours when we act the part. When you're out doing something that you know is not in alignment, we know the truth. We can all look back and see places where we were out of alignment. But you wouldn't be in this room if you didn't want to be closer to an alignment feeling, because it feels good to be in alignment. So, what is yours to do? And you're doing it right now. Whatever you're doing, if you were to introduce what you're doing to the infinite, it wouldn't say, oh, you're supposed to be doing this. It would go, yes. You're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing right now. What if you knew that the infinite was thinking that right now about you? Yes, you are perfect, exactly what you're doing. Would you take a different energy about what you do? I'd like to tell a story about a friend of mine named Fred. I have his permission to tell this story. When I was younger, I was about 14, maybe 15. I discovered the bass guitar. You guys have learned that I play the bass guitar. And I, through circumstances, found a teacher named Randy Rhodes, who turned out to be one of the preeminent best guitarists in the world. But at the time, he was just a guitar teacher in a band. And I got, once I found out that this guy was teaching and he was really good, I got my other friends lessons with him. And my friend Fred had lessons with him. And he taught us a lot about music and about theory and about how, I asked Randy, because he'd play so good. I said, how do you know what to play next? He said, you try everything and the music will tell you. You will feel what to do next because it will make sense and you'll feel that energy. When you've tried to do something and it's been the wrong direction and you felt that resistance, and then you've done it the right way and everything just went smooth and you're like, oh, that's the way to do that. That's how playing the guitar is. When you're not doing it right, your hand hurts. But when you play the chord just right, it's easy and it sounds good. Because the music tells you it sounds good. Well, Fred, he's a good guitarist and he's a rhythm guitarist. He's not a lead player per se. He can play some lead, but he's not a lead player. And Randy is very much a lead player. He was teaching me to play lead on the bass. It was very interesting. But after years had gone by, Randy made his transition very early in life. He was only 25 when he was killed in an airplane accident. And, he was a shooting star. He was so popular and just kept going, And I believe that he's doing what he was doing here on another plane of existence, continuing in that energy that he is. But he left behind a lot of students with that energy left within them. And Fred said to me, I'm never going to be a Randy Rhoads. But Fred is a carpenter. He's a good carpenter. He does parquet ceilings and stairs is his specialty in multi-million-dollar homes. He is asked for by name in Malibu and places. I want Fred Schultz to do my ceiling or my living room. He's become the Randy Rhoads of woodworking because that was his intent. He says, I can't be Randy Rhoads on the guitar. That's already been done. As much as you want to be your idol, you want to play as well as your idol, but you can't be them. But you can do what you do in such a way that you become the best at what you do. And that's what Fred has become. He's become the Randy Rhoads of building stairs and parquet ceilings. Now, he may not be the best in the world, but he's pretty damn good. You want something done, take a look at that. And what you do can be the same way. Who is your idol in what you do? Who is that person that has done it and gone on to greater and greater things? You can do your work like that, in that way. Even if it's sweeping floors. Sweep that floor so miraculously that people walk in and go, whoa, is the floor wet? It's so clean. Did you resurface the floor? No, we just cleaned it. But it's so clean that it looks new. You see, you don't have to do some big parquet ceiling. It can be as easy as doing your laundry. I love to do my laundry now. I'm folding my shirts. Oh, yeah, I'm folding these better than anybody could ever fold a T-shirt. Look at that crease in that T-shirt. But when we do life like a ministry, and we find our voice, something happens where that infinite energy takes over. Have you ever been in the middle of a project that you knew was right and you kind of lost yourself? And all of a sudden 3 hours has gone by and you're like, what happened? And before you was this masterpiece because you were on purpose. That's what I'm talking about by finding your voice. So what is yours to do? How do you individualize the creative power of the universe? What kind of wave are you? What is your specialty, and are you doing it? And maybe you're not doing it. Maybe you're still finding it, and that's okay. Because we wouldn't have got up this morning if we didn't have a dream in our heart and something that we wanted to do. or we had something to do that we haven't done yet. And maybe we're not waking up with that, but that's why we wake up. Is there's something for each one of us to do, or we wouldn't be here. Each one of us is an intricate piece in this puzzle called life. And without your specific energy, the world would be a different place. So, have you discovered your voice? And our entire life may be about finding what our voice is. You know, I don't want to be laying on my so-called deathbed and go, I wish I would have done more. I wish I would have enjoyed more. I want to go, you know what? I feel pretty good about what I did with my life. You know, I don't want to look back and regret. This is why when we live our life with intention, on a purpose, whatever that may be, and it doesn't have to be some big thing. It can be, I choose to love more in my life. You know what I mean? It can be, you know, I've discovered feeding birds, and I just love to feed the birds because they don't have pockets or insurance policies or cars or need new tires or anything like that. They just show up and eat and squabble about the pecking order. That's their whole thing. God supplies for them by means of me. I go out and buy food. What great consciousness these birds have, right? So, individualizing spirit in your own style and manner. You know, I was asked one time, a teacher of mine said, what is freedom? And they said, freedom is doing what I want to do, when I want to do it, in the style and manner that I choose to do it in. I love that. What is the style and manner of your wave? How can you bedazzle God? Remember the bedazzler? You know, you get your jeans and you put all these sequins on the butt, a pocket, I mean. And, you know, you bedazzled something. It went from just jeans to being bedazzled jeans. But how are you bedazzling your life? Like, if your life is an event that God is having, how's the catering in your event? How's the entertainment in your event? You know, when we see it differently, just eating cereal in the morning can take on a whole different energy. Because that little bowl of Frosted Flakes becomes the energy that keeps me alive, alert, and aware. So it's a sacred bowl of Frosted Flakes. They're great. Sorry, had to throw Tony in there, right? So what is your unique style and manner? How do you bedazzle God? This reminds me of the story of the three Masons. A man came across three Masons, and the first seemed unhappy with what he was doing. And when he was asked what he was doing, he said, I'm hammering this stupid rock, and I can't wait till it's 5 o'clock when I can go home. The second man said, I'm molding this block so it can be stacked with others to construct a wall. I'll be glad when it's done. And the third man was taking great pride in his work, being very careful. And when he was asked what he was doing, he said, I am building a cathedral. See the different energy? They're all doing the same job, but they all have different intent behind it. And it's up to us to decide how we color that intent. Is it something to our liking? And if you're in a situation that you are not liking, how can you transform it into something that makes sense to you? That, you know, if somebody writes you a pink slip, go write yourself a green slip somewhere else, doing something you want to do, that you have your heart in, and watch what happens. You attract all this energy of love and light when you are doing what you love to do. When you're doing something that you don't love to do so much, you feel it, you know it, but you're not stuck there. It's bringing you information, exactly what you need in the moment, so that you can spring forth into your greatest yet to be. It is the catalyst through which you do find what your true voice is, and you start living that. And when you come from that place, magical things happen. So I want to end with a story about a hologram. Everybody knows what a hologram is. You know, when we saw Star Wars, and, you know, we saw R2-D2, and, you know, Prince Leia, she pushes the thing, you know, and she says, "I'm trapped on a star, you know, come and save me, Prince," you know, whatever. But there's that, yeah. Yes, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Thank you, our Star Wars people. I remember, but very vaguely. But it was that image, and R2-D2 projected that image, and it looked like she was standing there, but she wasn't standing there. It was not only a projection, but it looked, whatever angle you looked at it, you'd see her entire being. It was like she was standing there. It was projected, a 3D image. So this is information about that. So if a hologram breaks, is the hologram image visible in each piece that's broken? The answer is yes and no. It's no, because each broken piece would let you see the image from its own unique perspective. Think of a hologram as a window. Anywhere you look through a window, you see what's on the other side. If you were to paint the window black and scratch a hole, in the paint on the left side of the window, just being enough to peek through, you would see everything on the other side of the window, like looking through a peephole. If you then scratched another viewing peephole somewhere on the right side of the window, you can still see through, but from a different perspective. This is the same effect that each broken piece of a hologram would display. Just remember that if you have two broken pieces taken from opposite sides of the hologram, and you are looking at an object that looks differently from each side, one piece may let you see just one of those sides, while the other piece will let you view the other side. So you might say that each piece of the hologram stores information about the whole image, but from its own viewing angle. No two pieces will give you a view that is exactly the same, although it's of the exact same thing. We are reflecting God from our own angle. You have now found your voice. What song are you going to sing? Value yourself as meaningful and precious to the whole. See the same divine reality and presence in each and every person and all beings everywhere. I see Spirit as me. I see Spirit as you. I see Spirit in all beings everywhere, and I see each one as unique and precious as the divine energy is. And so it is. Amen. Namaste.